Over the weekend, a wild rumor took Chinese social media by storm. BYD is buying a part of NIO, and we're not talking about small part, we're talking about 51% ownership, so a controlling stake. And apparently this deal will be worth around 16.5 billion yuan. It all maybe seems plausible until you run the numbers. So if you take this number converted to US dollars and divided by outstanding shares of NIO, you get that BYD are buying NIO for $2.6 per share. It doesn't seem right, and NIO execs were really fast to deny all the claims. One of the execs by the name of Ma Ling actually contacted BYD to kind of try to understand what is going on and where are these rumors starting from, and he also demanded that the police will start the investigation of the source. Today we'll not only talk about why this is laughable to sell NIO for $2.6 per share, but also about all of the catalysts that people and analysts were missing all this time about NIO stock. Hey there, and welcome to the Market Monkeys channel. My name is Vadim. Today we're talking about NIO catalyst and everything all the analysts have missed in the last couple of weeks. So the first catalyst we're going to talk about is Chinese support for EV market. We all know about kind of China supporting EV market by giving 10,000 yuan starting April 2024 for everyone who is trading their all regular car for the new EV car. And most recently, Chinese government increased this amount to 20,000 yuan. What people are not really understanding is how these numbers and when these policies were introduced to the deliveries of NIO. So the policy of giving people 10,000 yuan for trading two new EV cars was started about 7 months ago in April 2024. Since May 2024, NIO has been delivering around 20,000 vehicles every month, and this is the record delivery for the company. Maybe it's a coincidence, but if we're looking at the graph of NIO deliveries, you kind of see that something changed in the summer of this year. And I think this something is the increase of amount from 10,000 yuan to about 20,000 yuan. So now electric vehicles make more than 50% of all the sales of new Chinese car, and in the future we are expecting this trend to actually continue and NIO to benefit the most out of it. If you find this information valuable, press a like button on this video and subscribe to our channel. The next thing I want to talk about is something I have seen a few people mention, but I think they missed the whole point. And this is business travel by NIO. So there is this service provided by NIO where you can have a chauffeur who will drive you all around the place in brand new NIO car, for example in ET7. This service costs about 180 yuan per hour, so something like $25 per hour. You can have your own chauffeur who will drive you in a brand new NIO car all around the place. And many people are actually using this to hire this chauffeur for 8-hour days, 20 days a month. And this brings NIO really nice margin of profit. What people are missing is the whole point of this experiment is not to earn more money. The whole point is to have this kind of advertisement and paid test runs for the brand new NIO luxury cars to present it to the people so they would think about actually buying this car for themselves. And in general, if we're talking about luxury EV cars in China, NIO is kind of taking it by storm. Right now, NIO is taking around 40% of the overall market. So this market is captured by NIO, and the main goal right now is to go and see what is left behind. And what is left behind is actually our third catalyst. So let's talk about what is going on in China in terms of this EV penetration. I told you that more than 50% of all new cars that are sold in China are EVs. But it's mostly in the big cities, in cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Macau, tier 1 cities as they call them. So the problem in China is their tier 3 cities, so cities where people earning less money. We have something like 800 million people living there, and the EV penetration in these cities are less than 30%. Why? Simply because people are not earning enough money, so they cannot afford to themselves to buy brand new NIO for 200,000 yuan. To tap into this new market, NIO has introduced two new sub-brands. One of them we have already seen, the ONVO L60 SUV. It's targeted at families and priced starting at 200,000 RMB or 130,000 if you're taking the battery as a service and trading in your old car. Currently, NIO delivered already about 7,000 vehicles and they are planning to deliver 10,000 in December 2024, so basically right now. They are expecting to deliver 20,000 units next year, at least this is what management told us, and 20,000 units is important because this will achieve NIO margin positivity on this sub-brand and add to NIO's bottom line next year. And there is a new car, the Firefly. Firefly will be introduced on NIO Day on December 2024. I think it's in the end of December, so we will have kind of the first introduction to the car. Firefly is the compact hatchback and it is priced around 100,000 RMB. So exactly for this population I've talked about, people who are actually living in tier 2 and tier 3 cities in China. What is also really cool, Beijing have a new policy which is called Beijing New Fleet Electrification Mandate. And this policy said that all the government workers, and there are a lot of them in China, need to have electric vehicle. So for now, for 2025, this policy should cover around 30% of people, and the vehicles which they should have should be priced below 180,000 yuan. So Firefly, for example, is perfectly good for that purpose. Now, as you understand, if NIO is about to sell its vehicles to kind of rural population of China or to population with less penetration of EV technology there, they need to extend their power swap network. And this is exactly one of the things that NIO management has introduced. And they introduced the plan which is called, I'm sorry for my Chinese, but I'll give it a try. It's called Qianxiantong program, and it aims to bring this tech to every corner in China by 2026. So what NIO did, they took this whole program and they split it into 3 phases. So phase 1, stage 1, it should be done by H1 2025, and the goal is to cover 1,200 counties in key regions like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangdong. Stage 2 should cover more counties, and stage 3 should cover everything, all of the China. It should be done by 2026. What is really important is to talk about these swap stations or these power stations, because a lot of people kind of think that this is the main advantage of NIO. Other people are saying that this is the main disadvantage of NIO, because 4 years ago this technology was relevant, now it's not really. So let's settle this once and for all. These swap batteries are actually losing NIO money, and the problem with them is that people are not using them enough. So the margins are negative for now, but the margins will turn positive as more and more people are using the station. By NIO's own calculation, if a station has more than 60 swaps a day, it becomes profitable. For now, the average is between 30 and 40. We actually have the stations in Beijing, I think, when there are more than 60 swaps. So the whole thing with profitability of these power swaps is with their usage. And while we are talking about that, I want to explain something about NIO and their profitability. So what I just explained about the batteries, the same exact thing is relevant to NIO's production of cars. So it's all the economy of scale. It's really, really expensive to produce 1 car or 100 cars or 1,000 cars. So the more car NIO produces, the lower cost per each car, the higher the margins on each car. So we can expect as NIO ramp up their production, they will become more and more profitable. Take the current situation, for example. In Q3, NIO became cash flow neutral, so they are not burning cash. But if you're looking on NIO plans for the future, I think in Q4 the situation will reverse, because right now they have 2 new sub-brands which they will take and start producing basically from scratch. ONVO and Firefly, of course. What NIO needs to do is kind of ramp up their production so that the margins on these sub-brands would turn positive as well. And NIO's plans are exactly this. So for Q4, the management guided delivery of between 72 and 75 100,000 cars. And ONVO CEO, by the way, have staked his job on hitting production and delivery targets. So basically he said that if we will not hit this target, you can fire me. I'm not sure if it will happen, but let's see. Before we go into NIO's numbers and talk about NIO's financial situation, there is a piece of news I heard over the weekend that EU are actually planning to lower their tariffs for Chinese cars. So one of the officials in Brussels just went out and said that they're planning to lower the tariffs, which of course will benefit NIO as well. But for now, let's wait for kind of official confirmation and let's wait and see what this actually means. Let's see the numbers before we are happy. Okay, now let's talk about money. Let's talk about NIO's financial situation and what's going on with the company there. So, as I mentioned, Q3, huge milestone, NIO stopped burning cash, but they can start doing it all over again. The problem is NIO's working capital. So NIO's working capital has been declined over the last quarters, and we are now waiting to see if it will suffice for 2025. In 2026, by the way, NIO management has announced that the company will turn profitable. So what we are hoping as investors is that the money NIO has right now, they have about $6 billion in cash and about half of that in debt. So we are hoping that this money will suffice to the company for 2025, so it won't liquidate its stock again. From the current valuation point of view, it's hard to compare NIO to other Chinese companies on other parameters except for price to sales, because, well, NIO is not profitable, so price to earnings is not coming into account here. If we're taking NIO price to sales ratio, it's about 0.72, which makes it look undervalued comparing to peers like BYD, XPeng, Li Auto, which average around 0.97. So based on them, NIO is undervalued by about 25%. The only company which comes lower is Zeekr, who has price to sales of 0.82. This suggests that the market has not fully priced NIO potential and NIO's growth. With NIO's strategic move on launching ONVO, launching Firefly, all the projects we have talked about in this video with Power Swap Station, NIO is expected to hit revenue growth of 39% next year. And analysts are kind of echoing this whole narrative. The average price which analysts give us is around $6.50 per share. The lowest, I think, it's $4 and the highest is around 12.5. But here is where I have to warn you. If you're looking at this graph, you can see the analyst price target at the NIO actual price, and you can see the gap. There's always a gap between these two. Analysts are always overvaluing NIO. So if it would happen for a couple of months, we can kind of write it off on analysts being over optimistic. But this had happened for a couple of years now. So if you're basing your investment decision on analyst target price, sometimes it's okay. In NIO's case, take it with a huge pinch of salt. So in general, let's recap. NIO have great ideas for future products. They have really cool brands. Let's see if they sell and if they deliver as well as management are planning them to deliver. Management are planning to turn NIO profitable in 2026, and our hope as investors is that NIO will not burn more money in 2025 and the cash that NIO has will suffice it for the whole year. If you have any more questions, write in the comments. We are answering to pretty much everyone. If you are NIO's investor, please share what's your average price on NIO. I'm really interested in that. Thank you for your time. Please don't forget to like this video, to subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.